House votes to legalize gay marriage.
Absolutely thrilled. I can't believe it. It's just wonderful.
From the joy of victory to the pain of parents.
When I heard the news, it was like, I just wanted so much to reach out and hug her.
Just hours after learning Kira Trevino's body was found in the Mississippi River, her parents talk about waiting months to find their daughter.
Tonight, we are tracking developments in these two major stories. I'll break down the historic vote that paves the way for gay marriage in Minnesota by August.
But first, the family of Kira Trevino talks about their daughter finally found. It's been 78 days since Kira was last seen alive. St. Paul police confirm Kira's body was pulled yesterday from the Mississippi River near downtown St. Paul. Her husband, Jeffrey Trevino, sits in jail tonight, charged with second-degree murder. Tomorrow morning, Kira Trevino's parents will travel here to the Twin Cities so they can meet with investigators and claim their daughter's body. Tonight, we traveled 3 hours east to their home near Wausau, Wisconsin. That's where Kira grew up and graduated from high school. 5 Eyewitness News reporter Jay Cole spoke exclusively with her parents. Jay?
Jeffrey Trevino's trial is right now scheduled to begin on May 28th, but this could force a delay in that trial. We did ask the prosecutor's office this afternoon whether that was a possibility. They told us it was just too early to make that call at this time. Bill?
Steve, one thing we've been wondering as well is, will the discovery of Kira's body change the charge against Jeffrey Trevino?
It could. Right now, he is charged with second-degree murder, but this gives prosecutors the option of possibly upgrading that charge to first-degree murder. However, to do that, they would have to take this case to the grand jury. That would obviously extend the timeline on this case even more. Bill?
The Steegers will also be participating in searches for these two Minnesota women. They're still missing tonight. Danielle Jelinek of Oakdale hasn't been seen since early December. She was last seen at the home of Aaron Schlegel in Chisago County. He's been named a person of interest in her disappearance, but he's never been charged. Today marks 1 week since Mandy Matula of Eden Prairie was reported missing. Her brother is organizing another big search for her coming up on Saturday. Matula was last seen with her ex-boyfriend, David Rowe. Rowe shot himself in the Eden Prairie parking lot 1 week ago and died the following day. We'll continue to follow developments in both of these cases and the Kira Trevino case. Stay with 5 Eyewitness News and KSTP.com for continuing coverage. Bill?
And tonight we're learning more about Mandy Matula, including where she worked and what her brother is saying about her disappearance. She was also an outstanding athlete in high school. We even profiled her here on 5 Eyewitness News in 2007. Eric Connard spent the night looking into her background. Eric?
Yeah, Bill, in 2007, Mandy was featured on 5 Eyewitness News as our High School Athlete of the Week. She was an extremely talented softball player for Eden Prairie High School. In fact, she went on to play college softball at UMD. This is some video we shot of Mandy in 2007 pitching for Eden Prairie. This was during a section championship game, which they won. That year, according to the Minnesota State High School League, Mandy also pitched a perfect game. She talked with us back in 2007 about the successful year her team was having.
People were kind of starting out looking at the hot shots from last year, all the top teams, and last year we kind of had a rough season. This year, team chemistry is just that 10 times better.
Full of energy, like the neighbors were saying there. This is a photo of Mandy when she threw a complete game one-hitter for the University of Minnesota Duluth. She played 4 years for the Bulldogs. Tonight, her brother, Stephen Matula, has been getting a lot of well wishes from friends on his Facebook page and has been responding. He has been posting online news stories about her disappearance and the events that unfolded. In one of the posts on Mandy's disappearance, he writes, quote, "She just never came home after this fight with a friend. She has no cell, coat, purse, keys, or vehicle." In the post, a friend asks how he knows that Mandy got into a fight with her friend, and he responded, quote, "It's a long story." Mandy Matula works at Brunswick Zone Bowling Alley in Eden Prairie. She was an independent business owner for Amway Global. Her LinkedIn account says she also does seasonal work for the city of Eden Prairie. Bill?
War wounds and workplace shootings, things you wouldn't necessarily connect unless you were being treated for the trauma involved. An innovative therapy is helping them recover in ways other therapies have not. Initially, most are skeptical.
It felt like, how could this possibly work?
I was thinking, they do what?
I didn't want to do it. I was like, that sounds crazy. No.
But each of these Minnesotans is now a believer.
And 5 Eyewitness News reporter Nick Winkler found out that this therapy could help anyone dealing with trauma.
A fallen police officer honored for his bravery, kindness, and making the ultimate sacrifice.
I hope a lot of people from the community show the support for him and his families.
Family members arm in arm, fellow officers in perfect step, students and strangers lining downtown streets. All say a final goodbye before laying Cold Spring police officer Tom Decker to rest. Officer Decker was a son, a husband, and a father. He was living his dream, keeping his hometown safe. He died doing just that. Today, Minnesotans honored the Cold Spring officer who was killed in the line of duty less than a week ago. Tonight, we have team coverage from the funeral to the procession through his hometown to his final resting place. We start with 5 Eyewitness News reporter Mark Saxmeyer live in Cold Spring tonight. Mark.
Leah, funerals and farewells are always heartbreaking, but especially so when the person who died was protecting Minnesota. More than 3,000 people turned out today to pay tribute to Officer Thomas Deckard. Those who knew him well simply called him Tommy.
They both lost a leg below the knee. I really don't know too much because it's just so overwhelming. It's like a nightmare.
That pain and anguish being felt tonight by Liz Norden, who has two sons who each lost a leg. Just two of the hundreds hurt in the Boston Marathon bombing. The death toll still stands at 3, with more than 170 people injured. The most severely injured had to have arms and legs amputated. A 9-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy are among 17 victims still listed in critical condition tonight. Others suffered severe head injuries. Dozens have now been released from area hospitals. About 2 hours ago, hundreds of people lit candles, sang songs, held banners, and prayed on the Boston Common. It's a show of solidarity as they grieve for the victims and their families, yet vow to move forward from this tragedy. 5 Eyewitness News reporter Chris Eggert is here now with how the victims are being remembered tonight. Chris?
Well, Bill, 8-year-old Martin Richard had just gotten ice cream, and he was at the finish line with his mother and his sister. He died. His mom and sister were seriously injured in what was supposed to be just a fun family day at the marathon. It's what everyone in Boston does. Well, victim Crystal Campbell was watching the race with her best friend, and here's what her mother had to say.
We are heartbroken at the death of our daughter, Crystal Marie. She was a wonderful person. Everybody that knew her loved her.
Campbell went with her friend to take a picture of the friend's boyfriend who was crossing the finish line Monday afternoon, and that friend was also seriously injured. And back to this little guy, Martin Richard, the boy who died, father issued a brief statement thanking people for their support and asking for more prayers. Neighbors say this sweet-looking 8-year-old loved to ride his bike, play baseball, and that they were a close family. It's hard to see that little boy. The Chinese consulate in New York says a Chinese national is the third person that was killed in the Boston Marathon blasts. He was a student at Boston University. The official Chinese news agency reports that relatives have requested that the third victim not be identified. Bill?
This was the scene 7 months ago outside Accent Signage Systems in Minneapolis. Andrew Engeldinger had just been fired from the company when he shot and killed 6 people in one of the worst mass shootings in Minnesota. To reduce the chance of this ever happening again, several dozen businesses, police officers, and violence prevention strategists all got together. They were in Bloomington today to identify how to make workplaces safer. 5 Eyewitness News reporter Nick Winkler found how all of us can help stop violence at our job. We have a few specifics that you can use. Avoid zero-tolerance policies. They can incite rage if someone is fired for something trivial. Consider screening employees for violence tendencies, establishing stringent grievance policies, and threat reporting processes. One of the most important things that you can do to reduce the odds of workplace violence is to learn to identify signs of domestic violence.
The domestic violence piece is very, very important because many of the incidents of workplace violence begin in some type of relationship problem outside of the workplace, but it then spills over to the workplace.
Part of that is understanding when a restraining order will help and when it might escalate workplace violence.
Well, you wouldn't serve food on dirty plates or cook with dirty utensils, but every day, parents send their kids to school with lunch often packed in reusable bags like these that are dirty.
Well, our resident germaphobe, 5 Eyewitness News morning anchor Megan Newquist, teamed up with University of Minnesota scientists to find out what kind of germs exactly are lurking on these bags.
Did you know there are 168 million emails sent every 60 seconds, or